Hey YouTube, Electric Adventures, with a pickup video of a new handheld console. Now this handheld console comes with a very long story. It's based around a Kickstarter project that I funded along with lots of other people, and it was came live funded as of January 29th 2013, which of course is a fair while ago. Now, you know, I'm not going to go too much into the project and the person. The person's had a lot of trouble and everything like that. And the main thing that has upset a lot of people is his lack of communication skills. And out, you know, not telling the truth when he does actually communicate. So, much to my surprise, there was an update on the Kickstarter earlier on in October, talking about shipping more units out, and once again the final X number of units, which, I mean, everybody plainly see didn't equal the number of units he had on display. Another thing that rubs salt into the wound is that you know, non-kicker sticker backers can just go to one of the sites. Nothing against these sites, they pre-ordered X number of units to sell on their sites and could go and buy one, but the people who actually kickstarted and backed this project, you know, never got their unit. So here is my unit here. Finally, I got a tracking notice little under 2 weeks ago, and I went, well, here we go, see how the tracking notice goes. And then it actually did, because the tracking notice gets created when the postage label is printed. That doesn't mean the item has been picked up and has left. Now this particular handheld has been very disappointing. I actually you know, didn't buy a 3DS, Nintendo 3DS or anything like that, because I knew I was going to have this handheld, and I'm not a particularly big handheld person, because I have big hands, and a lot of arthritis in my hands, so I find it difficult to use handhelds for any particular amount of time. So I don't play them enough to justify to have every handheld under the sun. So I'm happy to use my you know, hand-me-down DS's from my daughters and things like that as they come through. I've also had this one. So this is a Dingu A320 micro game station for a very long time. I can't remember how long ago I bought this. I've had this, that's probably even before I started you know, collecting retro games again. And here's the unit here. It's a little protective cover here. And I liked an interesting note, and it's a lovely little unit, but it is very small. I cannot play shoot 'em ups on this, otherwise it just kills my hands. But it actually does quite a good job of playing, you know, Mega Drive and NES and Sega Master System and everything like that. It's just, you know, it's small. You can carry around in pocket. Funnily enough, that's been sitting in my drawer for probably about a year. And I'll just turn it on. I haven't plugged it in, and it still works. So I've always been very impressed with this and how long its batteries last. It's got a little menu system and some native games, inbuilt memory, and it has another memory slot in the bottom of it there too. And it's a lovely little unit, and it did the job. But this whole Kickstarter was sort of to make the proper next sequel to that, which understandably, since I've had, you know, such a good time with that particular handout, I was looking forward to. So here is my unit. Now the box, well, let's start with the box. I mean, it's a decent solid box, just that the print work on the box is, obviously the contrast is completely wrong, as you can see by the screenshots on the back. But it's okay, it's fine, it's a box. That's, at the end of the day, it's a box. It'll go up on the shelf, but once it's up on the shelf, you probably won't be, it'll just look like a black box. You won't be able to see anything on it. So let's open it up and have a look. Now, obviously on the box is pictured a black one. I actually ordered a white one. I have a white PSP. I actually got a black Vita, so I broke the cycle. It has so opening the box, we have a quick start guide. Not too bad. Shows a few features and some instructions in a few different languages there. There's one of the things that did cause them some problems in exporting it was getting the certificate. So they didn't actually think about that they'd need a certificate to export it. At the end of the day, people take note, anything with a battery needs to have more effort put into when you're going to send it to other countries. So this is what it looks like sitting in the box. Look, totally honest, I have opened this up, made sure it works, charged it up, and had to play. Okay, so this is not pristine box opening or anything. So it's you know, the boxing's pretty good quality. So the unit comes in a nice you know, bit of plastic protected, and it had a plastic cover over the screen, which I've taken off. So there's the unit there, and you know, especially for me with big hands, this is the main reason why it's so much better, is that it's bigger, so it'll fit in my hands better. So you know, we have our directional pad. We also have our, sorry, put it in the wrong place, an analog stick, a much bigger screen, our buttons in the same configuration before. We've got a select and start button this time. We have shoulder buttons. This one actually has shoulder buttons, just that they're not exactly practical for game playing purposes. Okay, so we'll put the other one comparison unit away. So it has a very nice screen. Up top here we have, oh, writing's upside down, sorry. As you can see, we've got a micro HDMI port and a TV out. Now I will say, not that I have tried the HDMI out so far, but I don't know how to get the TV out working. But it does come with all the cables, and they still are working with firmware. This is the other thing, because of all the delays, I mean, the units were produced, manufactured, sent to the US to the guy a long time ago. It is purely that they haven't been shipped out. That has held everything up, and it's made a few people who were supporting the project with firmware and everything like that lose a bit of faith, so they've slowed down the releases. But they have done some releases, so it's starting to pick up again now that we're finally, the last few Kickstarters are getting their units. Now on this side, if my camera will behave, right, we have a speaker grill, a reset button, it's a mini USB, isn't it? Not a micro USB port. A DC in. It doesn't come with a power adapter. A micro SD slot, and the other speaker. And it's not too heavy. It's reasonably lightweight. Obviously the battery's built in. The plastic feels reasonably firm. Buttons a bit clicky and everything like that. And the analog stick's pretty good. So currently this is off. All you do is you slide the slider once, and then it boots up. Now I've put the latest available firmware on there, so we're getting dreadful reflection of course, and then you get a navigation interface. It's finally focused on the right thing. You can use the shoulder buttons. Now the emulators don't come loaded on it, you've got to do that. There are some emulators from the main site, and then you can, there are more emulators. I haven't finished putting them all on here yet, but as you can see, we've got DOSBox. Sorry, doing things in the camera. Coming a bit closer. Now this is an arcade emulator. I haven't quite got that one to work. The arcade ROMs obviously take up a lot of room, so I need to play about that. This is a Famicom and NES emulator. That one works fine. A SNES emulator. Oops, I'm going the wrong way. Mega Drive, Game Boy. Now I found Pro System, which is, I think, the 5200. Stella for 2600. Game Boy, press the wrong direction. Game Boy Advance, Master System. A straight, and this is another PC emulator. And of course, one of my favourites, OpenMSX. Okay, so we'll go in, and you just quite simply, and it launches. Now this is running, unlike half of the other handhelds and you know, systems out there, this is running Linux or Open Dingus. Whereas the others, you know, like quite a lot of these tablets and everything like that, are all based on Android, which is a particular build of Linux cut down for phones. So never really designed for game consoles, which is one of the things that irks me. So this Open Dingus, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong too, by the way, has been built specifically for these range of handhelds. So, you know, it runs on this as well. So this had a native one, but they had an Open Linux version as well, and you can overclock and everything like that. So it allows a lot more. I mean, I'm not going to holding it up here. You're not going to get the best thing of the game. So what I'll do is I'll do another section of video in a minute, and I'll show you some gameplay. But before we do that, I'll just go through the specs. So just as a comparison, I'm not sure, I can't remember how much is on this particular box. So here we go. So the old one, 110 grams. So 2.8 inch QVGA LTPS screen. Yeah, supports lots of games. We don't really worry about that. You can play MP3 audio and video, FM tuner, connect to the TV, ebook. Where's the processor speed? So this only has 4 gig of memory and supports 8 gigabyte mini SD cards. It doesn't actually. I think the processor can be overclocked to 400 megahertz. I probably should have looked that up a little bit more. But this one has more of the specs on the box. Once I hold everything together. So we have an Ingenic JZ4770 1 gigahertz MIPS processor. So it does actually have quite a bit of processing under the hood, and it does do DOS emulation quite well. I'll point you a link to Qbert Addict's page, YouTube page, and he's done a few gameplays with some of the stuff. He's one of the guys working on the on the software on it. So the GPU, it's got a specific GPU of Ivanti GC860, capable of OpenGL ES2, so it can actually do some 3D capabilities. We've got a 320 by 240 4:3 ratio 3.5 inch LCD, so it'll be interesting to see how well Neo Geo games play on this when I get the arcade emulator going. Obviously the OS, it's Linux 3.x, which is called Open Dingu. It has 512 meg of RAM. That was one of the stretch goals in the campaign, to double the RAM from 256 to 512. Internal storage memory is 16 gigabytes. You don't have to have a storage card in there, but I have got one now. I haven't plugged it in yet. Mainly for the arcade ROMs, they take up a rather lot of space. So we have the micro SD HD, so you can have up to 32 gigabyte cards. Unfortunately, my shop only had a 16. I'm probably still going to have to get a 32 because I've discovered that all the arcade ROMs take up 20. So mini USB, the mini HDMI 1.3, which is pretty good. 3.5mm earphone mic and stereo speaker and analog TV out jack. So you can use that TV out jack to plug in a set of headphones. Now it's got a G sensor, so you can actually move the unit around, and vibration, and an FM radio just like the other one, and it supports Wi-Fi B, GN at 2.4 gigahertz. So it's reasonably up to date still, and the battery is a 2200 milliamps one, so it should last for a while. So I can't remember, that was the other thing. I mean, the battery life on this one is phenomenal. I said that literally has been sitting in my drawer for almost a year, and I haven't turned it on, and it's still got 2 bars. So that's impressive. So the other stuff that you get with it, you get this nice soft slip cover to go in. It has this bauble here though, so you need to make sure when you put it in you don't face the screen that way, or you could scratch it. But anyway, it's nice and soft inside to protect it when you're carrying around. You get the TV out cord, which looks surprisingly like the Neo Geo X cord, which is good because I can't find one at the moment. I was going to try that later. You have a standard mini USB to USB cable, not too long, but it works. It actually comes with a micro HDMI cable, and they're not cheap, so that's not too bad. And it comes with a mini USB to USB adapter, so you can use a normal USB cord if you want. That was another one of the stretch goals. And I said, it's got quite a nice box for keeping all the stuff in there. And I said, I'm not going to get into the politics of the late. I'm happy it is now here, and I hope that more support comes out to it. There are quite a few emulators available, directly from the site. You install them really easily. There are lots more than listed there. You've just got to go through a bit of work. There's a tool management tool written in .NET by somebody else. Their website is horrifically slow though. It took me 3 attempts to get onto that site and download the thing, but it did work in the end. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to I'll hook that up, do a bit of screen capture, and we'll also show you the unit running. I have a good play with the unit, so they are well worth getting, and you can get one, you know, you can buy one online from a few sites. I'll try and put the links to those down below as well. But yeah, most important thing, let's go and play a couple of games so you can see what the emulation's like.
Okay, here we go with the GCW Zero manager. You've got to do a little bit of setup. You've got to go and add your device. So you plug your device in first, allow it to install a driver on your machine. Sometimes that can take a little bit of manual thing if you don't have automatically search for drivers turned on. But other than that, it installed the device driver fine, and then you add the device here. You need to go in and put in, set up a password on the device. You can use a random one, and then once it's there, you can install new software. So we can go. You can either drag and drop it into this window, or you can just go and get a bit of software, add it to there. So OPKs are the install applications, and then you go install all, and it's already this. It asks you if you want to overwrite. I'll say no at the moment. You can go into manage software, and you have all of the software that is installed. You can see I've got quite a few there. You can select one, and we could uninstall the selected one. So it allows you to easily manage what's on the device. You can also delete applications from the device itself, but all of the local games are listed on there as well that come with it, plus all the emulators that I've installed so far. Now the application is written by Andreas Berkey-Holt. It's probably totally messed up the pronunciation of that. It's only a 0.9 version, but it seems to work quite well, only the occasional glitch. Then you go into files. You have to press refresh first to see this. Sorry, this is the second time I'm recording this. I didn't turn the audio on for my speaking. So these dot folders have been created by the various emulators as they've set up temporary files. I have a ROMs folder, and I've set up a few files. I don't have a Coleco emulator on there. I'm getting ready for one. So I've put my ROMs in there. Some of the emulators allow you to have them zipped, others don't. I'm still working with the Mega Drive one, whether or not that one allows zipped, but I did have the files in 7-zip, which of course it's not going to support natively. And I've got multiple versions of each ROM on there, so I need to tidy all those up. As you can see, pretty much all shoot 'em ups. But that's pretty simple and easy to use. You can put subdirectories as well, like in my MSX one. I've got MSX1, MSX2, and it's all in alphabetical order. So there we go, we've got translations in there. So getting set up and ready to go with those. You have system info. I've currently got the system log displayed there. We can go and get the system info. Just wait a second and it comes up and shows us which version of Dingu we're running and when it was installed. So my device came with was reasonably up to date. There was one new one released, compiled there on the 20th of August that I installed. You can also, I've already that fetches that text there. The text isn't there normally. It's because I've tried this once already. So a nice little tidy little piece of software that lets you manage the GCW from a Windows machine. Now obviously it's .NET, it's not going to work on a Mac. There are other ways of getting software onto the devices that are a bit more manual. So this is just a nice friendly interface to help you out. Alright, well let's go look at some of the emulators running on the device. Right, here's the GCW starting up. Now I'm doing this through the viewfinder, so that seems to be quite in focus. There we go. Right, so this is the interface. You have applications. After you install an emulator, you get an emulator tabs, and you also have games, which are the native games that come with the unit. One of them is Free Doom, so let's have a look at that now. I'll just zoom in a little bit more.
Okay, we'll select a new game. Oh, I pressed the wrong button. Hang on. Just adjusting the volume. There we go. And you know, showing you a bit of scrolling. We have a you know, quite a nice capable version of Doom. So this is written native for the unit. Got music playing. I don't really know the controls. I haven't really actually played this very much. Now we can bring up a map. Hold both buttons down. And then we exit. What else have we got here? I mean, there's a few other free games. I won't dwell on those too much because I'm mainly interested in the emulators. Now I've put on here DOSBox FBA, which is the arcade emulator, FCE UK, which is the NES emulator, and the SNES emulator, the Mega Drive emulator, Game Boy Pro system for Atari 5200, Stella for Atari, OpenMSX, the GBA one, Sega Master System, and x86. Now I don't have ROMs on here for everything. I'll just show a couple since we're over that one. I mean, the screen's quite good. It's just obviously difficult for me to hold it still. I'm showing you my. Oops. Of course, I'm not going to be very good at this, playing it in this manner. And the sound's, you know, not too bad, because that's usually the thing that people complain about with emulation is the sound. I mean, at the end of the day, it is up to the individual emulator. Alright, we'll press both buttons. I should have turned off autofocus. And start to exit. So next we'll try Pocket SNES. Obviously something a bit more CPU demanding. There you go. I'll go for a shoot 'em up. I suppose I should do a platformer, but anyway. Okay, sorry for the short interruption. My daughter came in and said hello. So let's get this game started. Sorry, I really should have turned the autofocus off. My bad. Just select the default character. It is really hard playing through a viewfinder. Oops. But as you can see, the graphics are nice and clear. I'm bad at this game, so what we'll do is they're all pretty much standard. Menus. You can see all the options. Let's start there. So they've all been programmed reasonably similar. Now you can put other emulators from other Dingu devices on here. You just got to do a bit more work. So I've just put the ones that they've officially, you know, converted over. I don't have all ROMs over here. Let's fire up a bit of Darius too. Sorry if I'm showing all shoot 'em ups, but they're the games I like. Come closer to the camera. PS2 works quite well. I've been playing this one. As you can see, the sound, I mean, it's a little tinny because it's a little device. It might actually be better with sort of headphones, something like that. We're only having a quick look at each game. Now, obviously the one that I like the most is MSX, so it boots up in the free C BIOS. Oops, and you can pop up a keyboard, and you can come in and load a ROM. Sorry, I've got a lot of titles here. Obviously a key main part of my interest. Let's show something interesting. And this is a game that I don't have, the MSX, so this is the MSX1 version. Playing through a viewfinder is not fun, but you know, the screen is nice and bright, and when you're playing looking directly at it, it works much better. And the jerkiness in this one is because this is an MSX1 game, so nothing to do with the frame rate of the emulator, and you can hop straight out. So most of the ones written specifically for this have you know, been adjusted so that they work well with the buttons. Just picking, there's so many NES games. Alien Syndrome, haven't played that one for a while. So as you can see, it's going with, you know, consistent frame rates, and the sound's not too bad. I mean, it looks a lot better on screen when I'm looking at it than what I can see in the viewfinder. And pause, and we'll just press the double button, and you can go and load another ROM, or you can exit. So one more emulator, which is the arcade emulator. I haven't got all ROMs working on here. I'll actually, here we go, I'll blind test one that I haven't actually tried. Rotate vertical game. Yes. So obviously I could have played it with it round that way if I wanted to. So as you can see, it runs quite well, and obviously I didn't select a very demanding game. The sound, I do find with this emulator, the sound is not quite right. It's a little crackly and things like that, so there's probably a bit more work to be done on this one. There we go. So at the end of the day, the console works quite well. You actually, this emulator, you have to hold up the side button. I'll get it eventually. Alright, I won't do that at the moment. Yeah, this emulator is harder to get out of, so it still has a few bugs and things like that. So at the end of the day, I'm happy with the unit. It's sad that it took so long to get the unit. But it'll be definitely useful for what I want to use it for, which is, you know, playing the games that I have in the lounge room and on the go, and it'll run just about everything. Obviously a bit of configuration to go. I haven't got everything perfect yet, but I'll work it out in the end. Alright, hope you've enjoyed this video and review of the GCW Zero. Thanks for watching, thanks to all my subscribers, and I'll catch you next time.